Hey, so this is Carlos, Pedro and Grégoire, and this video is for our World Heritage class, and we choose to talk about the Mont Saint Michel.
The Mont Saint Michel being part of the UNESCO World Heritage List.
And what is the UNESCO?
Well, the UNESCO is the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, which is in charge of promoting international collaboration in pursuit of matters about culture or nature, among other things.
And you talked about the list. What exactly is that World Heritage List?
Well, the World Heritage List is a list made by the UNESCO in which they include natural sites such as forests, lakes, mountains, landscapes, or also cultural sites such as monuments, complexes, or even entire cities. And these natural and cultural sites have to be of outstanding importance to the community, to the world community, part of our World Heritage.
And how many of those sites are there?
Well, in 2012 we have 962 sites registered, which included 745 natural sites and 188 cultural sites, and we also have mixed sites, only 29 of them, but they are part of it too.
Okay. And how many sites we have here in France?
Well, in France we can find 37 of these sites. Mont Saint Michel being part of them. Mont Saint Michel came into the list in 1979 as a cultural site. So, Carlos, could you give us some more information about the Mont Saint Michel?
Sure. The first thing you have to know about Mont Saint Michel, it is a rocky tidal island.
Tidal island, you said?
Yes.
Could you clarify that term?
Of course. A rocky tidal island is a piece of land connected to the mainland through a causeway. This causeway could be either natural or man-made. The thing about this causeway is that when the tide is high, it is submerged, and it is exposed when the tide is low.
Well, so basically what you're saying is that if we are on the island, we cannot leave when the tide is high, and we can only do that when the tide is low.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Well, interesting. And where is it located exactly?
Mont Saint Michel is located in the north of France, in Normandy.
And can you explain us why the Mont Saint Michel is on the UNESCO World Heritage List?
Well, the main reason Mont Saint Michel is in that list is because it has a very unique mix of architectural and natural site. The architecture fits very well with the island. It seems very natural.
And can you tell us some more about the architecture of the Mont Saint Michel?
Mont Saint Michel has two types of buildings. It has religious buildings and military buildings.
And what about the religious part of it?
Well, the religious part, I'm going to talk to you about the Abbey. That is the most important in the Mont Saint Michel. The Abbey was made in the 11th century by an Italian architect who was hired by Richard II. He made the Abbey a Romanesque church, and nowadays it is regarded as one of the most beautiful Romanesque churches.
And what about the military buildings of the Mont Saint Michel?
Well, because of Mont Saint Michel's location, it was also a very strategic point for military operations. So in the 12th century, Charles VI added some major fortifications. He built towers and he built ramparts to protect the city.
And are the walls surrounding the whole island, or is it just a part of it which is protected?
No, it is just a small part. You see, Mont Saint Michel is a typical example of a feudal society. So in the architecture, you see the abbey on top, then you have the walls surrounding it. Outside the walls, you have some buildings and some warehouses, and after that, you have the village where the people lived.
Okay.
So, Grégoire, could you tell us some more information about the history of Mont Saint Michel?
So in the first place, the Mont Saint Michel was used as a stronghold by the Americans between the 6th and the 7th century. And the first monastic establishment was built during the 8th century by Saint Aubert, which was the Bishop of Avranches.
And what was the economy like? What was it based on?
There was a lot of pilgrims at that time until the French Revolution in 1789, and so that's because it was a pilgrimage place that the Mont Saint Michel developed. And after the French Revolution, it became a prison.
And how did it turn from a prison to a touristic place?
That's because a lot of artists fought so that the Mont Saint Michel became something else at the prison again, such as Victor Hugo, which is very famous, so he had a lot of influence on it, and it became, and the prison was closed in 1863. And so by that time the island became a great touristic place, and more than 3 million people a year visit it.
How do people access the Mont Saint Michel if it is a rocky tidal island?
Actually, the island is linked to the shore with a road, but there's a problem with that road because the sediment and the sand is stacking, and it's actually linking the Mont Saint Michel to the shore. So in a few years, it's not going to be an island anymore.
Well, you know, I actually heard some new project that they are working on, in which will be finished circa 2015, which includes taking away the road that connects the island to the rest of the land and building instead a bridge, which will help preventing the stocking of sand and sediments, and it will help the tide to take them away. That way the water will circulate better around the island of Mont Saint Michel.
Hey, so do you know what French people are saying about the tides in the Mont Saint Michel? It's said that the tides goes as fast as a galloping horse.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, in fact, I've heard they are the strongest tides in Europe. I've heard that when the tide goes up, there is a wave entering the bay that could be up to 25 kilometers wide and up to 15 kilometers per hour in speed. So it's a big wave. And if people are not careful enough, they can get circled by the wave and get dragged into the ocean, or they can get trapped into the shifting sands. So it is not advisable for tourists to go on their own.
So they should be careful.
Yeah, the bay is a dangerous place if you don't know it.
So, Gregoire, you remember how Carlos told us about how Charles VI improved the fortification?
Yeah, exactly.
That was actually done for the 100 Years' War.
Yeah, you're right. Because during this war, the English people invaded Normandy. So he did it so the Mont Saint Michel had great defense against them. So even if the abbot of the Mont Saint Michel collaborated with the English invaders, the monks of the Mont Saint Michel resisted. So the Mont Saint Michel always remained French during the 100 Years' War. So they resisted a great assault in 1424, and this resistance of the Mont Saint Michel will give a great hope to French people during the 100 Years' War. So even in 1429, when the English made a siege of the Mont Saint Michel, they were circled from the sea and from the shore, because the English people built a fortress and they put in boats, a whole fleet just behind the Mont Saint Michel, so they couldn't get any food, they couldn't get anything. But the French battleships came and broke the siege. So the Mont Saint Michel has always remained French during that whole war.
Well, I actually know a little bit about how the 100 Years' War ended. The most severe English attack was in 1433. A fire broke out in the town and destroyed the wooden houses and the ramparts that were built for the war. The English tried to take advantage of this, and they even entered the Mont Saint Michel and partially took it in their possessions, but they were forced out. And leaving 2 cannons known as the Michelettes. In the Battle of 1450, the Battle of Formigny was the last battle in Normandy, and it was when the Englishmen were kicked out.
Okay. So the Mont Saint Michel has never been English ever?
No, it has always been French.
Okay.